Hi, I'm the Red Shirt Lady. Today I'm going to make chicken and noodles, which is absolutely my family's favorite meal. And it's hearty enough that you can serve it to teenage boys and it will fill them up. So I already cooked my chicken in the crock pot and I have my rich broth that I set aside. That's in another episode. And so I'm going to put about a quart of broth, and if you're using canned you'll need more than that because it won't be as strong. And then I'm going to put about 6 cups of cooked chicken, although you could use less. It just depends on how much you want in there. And then I'm going to put enough water in there to fill it, between 2/3 and 3/4 of the way full. This is a 8-quart or 2-gallon stock pot. I'm making a lot. And so we just want to bring that to a boil. We're going to roll out the noodles now. We can do this while the broth is boiling. You can do it ahead of time and let them dry, but this kind does not have to be dried. So I have scrambled 6 eggs in here. We're making a big batch here. And 6 tablespoons milk or cream you can use. And then 3 teaspoons salt and about a teaspoon of baking powder. And just kind of mix that up a little bit before you put any flour in. And you're going to use up to 6 cups of flour. We're going to start out with just 3, mix it in, kind of make ourselves a paste. And I'm using unbleached white flour. I have used half wheat. That will work. They won't puff up as nicely if you like puffy noodles, but it works. At this point my batter is thick but not enough to roll out onto the table. So I'm just going to add a little flour at a time until I think it is at that stage. It's still going to be sticky when you stick it on the table, but not so sticky that you can't work with it at all. And so we're about there. And since I'm making such a big batch, I'm going to only do half at a time. So I'm going to put plenty of flour on the table. I'm going to put about half of it there. I'm just going to knead in enough so that I can work with it. And if you pinch it good, you can feel if it's sticky. We're not talking about the same consistency as bread dough, but maybe like sugar cookies or something. Okay, it's about there. So put a little bit more. Make sure there's plenty on the top and the bottom. I'm going to take a rolling pin, and the shape doesn't really matter. We just want to get it uniform in thickness, probably about 1/4 inch. If you like big fat noodles, you can do them thicker if you like. The more you roll it out, the more noodles you'll have, though. Okay, before I cut any, I want to cover the top with flour and rub it all over. Now this is going to help when you cut it up and put it in your broth to thicken the broth. And so that they don't stick together. Now, you can use those wooden noodle cutters, but they don't go all the way to the surface, and so it ends up not working as well as this, which is called a mincer. You can get something like this at Bed Bath & Beyond for like $5. It's really for chopping and mincing, but I use it to make my noodles. Then they're all the same distance apart. I have used a pizza cutter, but then you have to go 1 row at a time. It takes longer. Just make sure you press hard enough to go all the way to the table. And then we don't want them that long in the pot, so I just go across. Doesn't matter if there's a few little squares in there. And I want to kind of toss them in the flour, bring it all together, and shuffle them in my hands so that each one is getting separated and covered with flour. If any of them stuck together like that, pull them apart. Otherwise there'll be a big clump in your pot. You don't want that. It'll be doughy. Okay, then I'm going to shove that to the side, and I am going to do the next batch. I now have my 2 piles of noodles that I have made, and I am just going to slide them off the table and back into the bowl that I mixed them in so that I can carry them over to my pot of boiling broth, which is now ready. Get all that flour in there, mix them up good. And I ended up adding another quart of water to this and about 2 teaspoons of salt. Don't forget to add that salt. You want it to be no more than about 3/4 full, otherwise when you add these noodles it will boil over. So I'm going to show you, you add them just a little bit at a time, not in one big clump, but let them kind of drop down in so that they don't stick together as badly. Okay, and just stir that around so they're not in one big clump in the middle. And let that boil. The recipe says for 2 to 3 minutes. I like to do at least 5 so they don't taste doughy. And then I like to let them sit and cool. And if you are anxious to eat them, you can let them sit and cool in the bowls and it goes quicker. If you want to reheat this, because you may have leftovers, you want to add a little bit of liquid because these noodles will soak up all the liquid by the second day. But it makes a really nice hearty soup. And this is our final product. I'm going to set it in the bowl to cool.